ñun yëpp foofu lañ concerné affaire police station man tey dem naa Sanyang gis naa naka la police station bi mel lakkana so it's virtually a crime scene gis nañ tamit areas yi nga xam ne lakka-lakka am na ñu doon wax ne ndax am na yu mel ni kër la or whatever next door but again I mean lakka bi si station bi am na lu bari lu mu yaaxa na records yaaxa na exhibits li ñoo exhibits mooy yi court yi wala li nga xam ne reports yi nga xam ne amaat na ñun sax amoon na yenn kayit yoo xam ne mu ngi tëddoon si police station bi Sanyang yooyu yëpp lakka na waaye liñ si mun a jàngee comme li ñoo wax ni government dafa am responsibility
waaye ñu ñëw tuuti ci yàqu-yàqu yooyu evidence yu ñu lakka noonu ak lii di files yi nga xam ne lakka na foofu loolu nuñ ko dee mun a amaate wala yan matuwaay la nguur gi dee mun a jëlaat pour toppa mbir yu mel noonu bo li amee
indi xam nga lakka dafa nekk loo xam ne pour nga amaat ko dina métti xëy na file yi soo bëggee ibiwaat li ñoo ooyee new files di su fekkee ne rek slide loo xam ne la binda la alhamdulillah waaye su fekkee ne loo xam ne xëy na exhibit gis naa safe bi sax monetary safe boo xam ne moo nekkoon si police station bi yëpp lakka na I mean yaxa bi métti na but again li ñu mun a wax mooy rek police yi am nañ liggéey yenn yi nag moom su lakka amee yu mel nii moo tax ñu ne ñu ngee ñaan yàlla bu mu amati parce que soo lakkee lu mel ni police station lu bari la dee yaxa waaw xam nga amiin am na kayit yi nga xam ne yu am solo yoo xam ne ñu ngi fa tëddoon xam nga police ak seen mbir ñoom ñooy aar ñoo amee kaaraange bi so lu bari su yaaxoo du dee mën a ñëwaat waaye dellu baak su liñ doon wax noonu te Mr Jaw ne laal na ko gis nga logistics has been a big problem for police stations around the coastlines muy Sanyang muy Gunjur not only nationwide yii yëpp dañ am problème ñu suñ kaaraange ba léegi xooluñ di law and order pour niñ ko improver moo tax crime bi bari na fi mu nekk nii soo ko xoolee youth si tamit we are not government jël responsibility ndax seen njëlbeen bi la lii mooy problème bi government dafa waroon a make sure ne youth seen plight comme niñ ko doon waxee youth si engage di I don't mind nga xam ne youth si yëpp xam nga ñu ngi leen a engage especially youths of around us areas skill them in fishing skill them in technology boo xam ne within the coastline area foofu dina develop waaye soo bàyyee ñii police yi amuñ moto seetal di story bu doy waar police SO bi mooy use motom private car pour effect government service su nit ñi ñëwee report doy na waar torop te lii nag du foofu rek some very many places waaye tey ñu ngi gis joori moto yi nga xam ne dëgga mënoon nañ leen a jël pour ñu use ñu aar kaaraange nit ñi pot ci gàttal rek I mean lii luñ war a address la is a very serious concern and also the environmental degradation mooy yaxa bi nekk foofu noonu dëgga nekkul tey la yow fàtte woon nga di Gunjur foog naa Sanyang 32 yooyu ñu jàppoon this has been going long way naka la government di def di address li Mr Mendy
waaw buñ balaa ñoo dem ci jaw ne xam naa dinaa desandi ak yow buñ waxee government responsibility mooy pour mu gis ne tam taxaw na askanam surtout ci jamono yuñ toll nii ci Gambia fii ak suñ new found democracy bi tam beneen saytam bi nga xam ne xëj na dinañ ne government war na koo def tam mooy pour xamal Gambian bi ci boppam lan mooy àq ak yelleefam
waaw loolu lu am solo la loolu xam nga gars yi am na benn wax biñ dee wax ñu ne sëy la ko yàq sa njëlbeen bi la xam nga biñ amee changement bi dañ am a big problème boo xam ne yaa ngi jël from one government yaa ngi transition to another government mindset bi li tubaab di wax xalaati nit ñi ak jëfalante nit ñi ñun xooluñu woon foofu loolu lu amoon solo la parce que soo jëloon mindset yi Gambians at the end of 2016 2017 mooy bi changement bi amee biñ fi génne Yaaya Jammeh foofu lañ waroon na wax yu si ne naka la ñoo toogee naka la discipline di ñëwee si society bi naka la ñoo doxee as Gambians naka la ñoo respecté ba pare nguur gi tamit xam ñi moo jox license xam yi yëpp li nga xam ne foofu la lifin bi waaye li ñëw ñun yëpp xam nañ ko njiiroo ŋaayoo bi ñëw uta place yi yëpp ñëw so loolu daf ñu yàqal lu bari moo tax government bi ba léegi ñun jàpp ne liggéey bi mu war a liggéey ba léegi nekku fa te xoolal nag kaaraange dafa am solo trop parce que suñ demee ba léegi tey da ngay ragal pour jël sa xaalis wala da ngay ragal pour teg sa moto man gis naa ñoo xam ne ñu ne seen biir kër yi dañ leen yooyu nag Mr Mendy doy na waar de.
Mr Jawne nimbe mrula ne ite kang si menyinin ka ngaje kunun sanyan ne fota bari of recent banko kang tanko la karola akamunta ko atalatal demanding problemol besia kang nyo fa besia kan tembanko kan janto ite amira ko muneyo si
Mr Mendy asiyata le kunun fanga kibaro do fanan soto bi somanda ngaje ka foko gunjun fana mo do fana mo fa jele man fo bitikiti o ay ko do wala bulu ngo fana jele ma verify folo bari ngo fana jele so akamunda yemen fo alim fana sunyaro ngaje online le mol ba fola mol kana ile sol ko ne ka fengul ta ke samba akamunta dal security la ko nyi alafita lam fola demanding
okay
adu fana umsa mini nyawo nyanding fonga muru man sakunda kande bawo man sakunda wole nyanta kato be kala kamul be tanka anin na fengol nsoto fengol anin tolo fengol woto fonga muru man sakunda ka adi me murla nyaadi folo nga muru je kam nga fo nyame folo ke adi Mr Mendy fana fa nyame fana folo ke wole mu logistics ni kuma ya takol kono baake logistics ni akuma da baake ndata police station on to le kabiri jam fa sara ngay police station jama ngabe yayle nyim banko kanjang adu ni manta da men falanto nga kibarol soto no jere fonga police station security ko nga bambandi nge makoy inyanta makoy la nyame kada ni nge makoy ndi itolle ka ken tol katan kallanga sino mi yaje tol be sino la itolle be lori suto bar say ni atari tol sulata makoy ro menna pour ka do ko nyinke o man so no yetel bul problème wala moti de tumodo nga kala moto ko dolbe je ni moto soto fuel fon sometimes aka problem mode sa ni incident keta sometimes pour kata je fon aka kole yale fo mol ka fo ko satol to safo al nan tol si moto di yalla pour dan ko dro kes ni be ko bala nyame o ma si bolati de woton te ngaje ko ko la lam fo mu be njikita la ko support men janta dila security la ko la an prioritisation men janta ka security la ko to ndenga mere wole be lam fo
okay
ntenga mera ole be lamfuri nyanta katala bake ngana security nge support nyabe nyama but orientation fana kumata je bake bawo nga kala mata security sector fo fana beke kanne ha bawo to nyale mu isi force use nole ni rew sifa be keling reasonable force bari fana nyanta ajela ko fana kana ke kuti be ngalon ko akana hada ma nyanta tinyanati
okay
ya fahamle so pour be keno ila security sector fo me iba ke kan kabin junan ka moy man sakunda nyanta ko tariyandi la aya tariyandi kaje ko security fanan kono la mol kana tarje men ngalon ko wol dalta mo falle la wol dalta mo hada ma nyanta tinyalle la bari sike mol de men ngalon ko isalon ko ibe mol le tankandi kan nyanta fero be kala mol be tankala nyamen rather than pour kamol mantora
Sanybe ibe kibar jumale fayla funding kel kang surtout Sanyang funding kel particularly nin ko membe kerin jang katum bi fawong kibarol sotole ko ye memfa ya badele bi uraro nyina bari funding kel ka munta ko e jama bi je hani sanye imeji ko nyina al tolbe ya balkan fayla mun kan funding kel la
han kabimbe ngano fanyambe Sanyang konton no sangala nin ko ani ku ya warta bake kato fondin kew korda be ka jiki fondin kew la pour wasif korda ma koy balo sonara nyamel nin ku man na o soto je fo modo criminal o da common criminal adu ngamba kila wala ay na ay mo fa ani ku ani warata yo bari simem fo edro ye sabari hani kabi ye sabari ye ala jube tumando ala me nyin mo ay fondi nyinna ala si kudo ke no iteliele membe nyinna place o nyim fala bar fana be kuma ndala hakki doyato man sakunda e Sanyang kol engage
okay
ha ndala hakki doyato nyanta ye engage de aman ka dron ka fokata ka sojere kiditol sambaje wala kantarlal sambaje de man sakunda nyanta ke engage le
engage nyaadi anim fananga mune nyanta kela wo engagement o nyin
aya sato alfal le beje sato VDC le beje fondinke nyaton kol le beje so misal fe vice president si wol commandinole anesi ye kacha ba nga kala muta president be di fola bare fona nga kala muta ko interior minister asitano je na trata kasi sor laje ani sate mo le kacha ay juso bambandi ko man sakunda be kata ko be kala kaje ko tidi munin to nyaay tama ko nyinto kato do be kam fala amara aski abe nyina mira ko tumando nyin kuta kelala katu ngaje la nyim banko kan jam mol ka criminal ya ke jang bara ale no de ni ka bensino ko betama la beddo kan bara ni man sakunda tata je ka mol jus lamane ande nyina ko inshallah nyin ko atakala komi ko kudol ka tinya nyamende nyin ko to nyabe tamala ko ko le njikita la wo fanan bebe poñing aba mono sumen la demandini
abaraka Mamadou Semega Jane Sotole Koteke line out from Sanyang. Welcome back, Mr. Jane, and we were just asking you what are the latest development in Sanyang today?
Basically, I mean, you've got a number of troops on the streets. And they had a number of people from the ECOWAS vehicle at the main junction in Sanyang there. The same thing was applicable to the fish meal plant, even though that was totally burnt out. So I think it's more a show of force to try and stop any further demonstrations.
We had received some unconfirmed information that some ministers were there this evening to pay condolence to the family of the late Jibril Sise, and they had a meeting with the youths and the VDC and some elders in Sanyang. If that's true, what was the outcome of that meeting?
That one I'm not aware of because of COVID. I'm having to distance myself as much as possible. So I've not been into the town this afternoon, especially when there's a large crowd for the funerals, etc. I will definitely not be going to that. But from news that I'm gathering from the chat groups and so on is that arrests have been taking place. That one was done about an hour or so before I joined the call. So it's a little bit hard to understand what is going on because everything is right now on hearsay, and I don't want to start going down that route.
Then, Mr. Jane, the other question would be, what can we learn from this? Because this was a very, very not satisfactory demonstration which led to the burning of the police station and the Chinese meal factory in Sanyang. What can we learn from this, really?
Basically, I mean, the departments involved have to make sure that the rules are applied properly. You've got people at the NEA that have allowed the factory to be built in amongst the people, and they were, same thing is happening right now in Katong and in Gunjur, where the factory is just pumping out nitrogen sulfide, which is actually not a very good gas to be breathing in. You've got people with their young children next to the factory. I am about 1 kilometer from the factory, and when they're in operation, I cannot breathe. I have to lock all my windows and doors. I've got air conditioning so I can actually survive. Those that don't, I think they've got major problem. We've approached the NEA, we've gone and seen the Minister of Fisheries, we've gone and seen the people at all sorts of places to explain, but each time it has really been a wasted journey. And I think I can fully understand where some of the youth are coming from. It has been rather difficult to try and get them to sort of like just say, believe that if they follow the rules and regulations that it will work out. But right now they cannot really see the point. I myself have been threatened with arrest for criminal trespass only for taking photographs of the factory. Criminal trespass is of taking a picture of a factory. I've never heard any such nonsense. But senior officer in Sanyang, well, rather in Gunjur, had stood me down and actually gone through the process of saying that I should return to Sanyang police station and that they should arrest me for criminal trespass. So when that type of intimidation is taking place, I can fully understand why a number of the people decided that they were not getting any response and that there was a likelihood that they won't. So I think de-escalating the situation is the first priority of the police and the security forces so that people do have a feeling that things are returning to normal and to act fast as far as the legal case is concerned, but to make sure it is done fairly, that the right person is prosecuted and prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
And just of recent, we can say today we also had a similar case in Gunjur, which is still in Combo South. What do you take to be a reason behind these killings that we hear in from now and then in the country?
Well, I think you've got multiple possible reasons. Right now, for the one, let's say for instance, Sanyang, you had a large number of young people that were being housed in really dormitories. And you put a whole lot of young men in one place and they're not allowed out, they're not doing a lot of things, and things are not going to end right. You had also the situation where at the factories, both at Sanyang and Gunjur, these people are being given the impression that they are above the law. They can stand there and tell Gambians to get out of public lands. And that because they are in the numbers that they've got rather burly people, and you had officers that were off duty, you had military officers that will come there and tell Gambians to basically go away from the beach. It's a public land. Everybody's got a right to be there. But if it is that, if you're doing things and one side is saying that you're favoring them, when things go wrong, they always seem to be the people that are favored. When they are arrested, people are seeing them out on the streets within a very, very short space of time. When the locals, when they get arrested, it's going to be days before they're allowed to get bail. And really, I think that is one of those things that has gotten to the point where people have the feeling that they can operate with impunity, which really has been the case. They've been able to operate with impunity as far as we can see. If the officers and the law was taking its course, it wasn't rather evident to us.
And finally, before we take a break from you, what do you expect from the government to do, or what are the steps that the government should do to stop these kind of abuses, as one could say, or to take control of the environmental damages that these factories are causing in the Combo South there?
Well, yeah, to start with, apart from just the environment, you've got a number of people that have got their houses that they're living in with their families. And they have rights as well, that they can enjoy their property without being encroached on by their neighbor. If you and I were to start burning car tires in our compound every single day, very swiftly the Environment Agency is going to come in and tell us that we've got to stop. We're going to be inconveniencing our neighbors the way that these people are. But we are within our houses. We cannot escape the smell. At the time of COVID, really, people are being told not to be going out in public. The only places that you've got is to be in your house. And there is nothing that you can do to get away from it. I think the first thing that government has to do is to make sure that the proper scrubbers are fitted into the chimneys if these factories carry on operating, that they are operating within the limits of the law, that they are made to be aware that at any breach of the law that is encountered, that they're going to be held liable, and it's going to be held in public, and it's going to be made sort of crystal clear. Last time that there was an issue with one of the factories, it was sort of like negotiated out of the in a side room, which rather looked very, very fishy, and that just does create more conditions where people do not trust those that are in authority that are supposed to be looking after us.
Okay, thank you very much, but still keep the line. We would get back to you very soon once so that to give us time to engage our guests in the studio. They would also come on in our local languages, which is the Wolof and Mandinka. Mr. Janeng, Mr. Jauneng, Mr. Jane lakumol moile ko man sakunda fananyanta simfal meltala pour que ñing kusi fal tankano akana ke wala akana repeat banko kan janto bi Sanyang ne fota sama asikeno dula dolto anin dula dol fananti
to nyala yalo ngafo nun jang bar Sanyang famo janni Sanyang si ngafo e faraba le foloda anin dula ko tengolu gunjur don ta berending yagro be wol be kan so akamunta kule menga lon ko amanda muta Sanyang so man sakunda pour ka wuli ay men fo wala mu toñade nyanta wullale kabirin ko mo damuto la ngawla fo ko man sa nyanta wulilale ni safero bella abe is already on the wall abe saferi ne fo ka pare ata man sero wala mu nyinti ko le yakul be laari molu kan sewo baliyani kontane baliyale be laari molu kan surtout men be nyin coastal area to ba jenje wala ka tun ko nyewa ni muna fan ko tan men be to bulu itolu bukay muna fangala inyante muna fannala nyame bawo ngalon factory men be jeto man ata famal abasin nale bari ni ya mala sisiyo men ka boje mol men ngalo be je pour ni jo fanga ka ko lendi bulle say nim kuranto mi te respiratory problem so wala mo ni ji kurango be te barila ni ala man namanta be ningi be je abe asira keno le sabotile so man sa janto ko rosilale say nim masala misalo fe man say molu sinde ay nyininka molu men ngalon ka fo wolle fondinke wolte nga fo jang ko fondinke la do ko so bali am problème wala tide do ko bali problème wala ni aje kay sem bala katatu bagudu do ko so bali yala woto say nyengo membe nyilla tundo nyinkan o nyew nyam dam nyemuto dam mo nyanta do ko nyanta abayla nyilla tundo nyinkan katu nyew meni ba bondi la ba kono meni be kala bana banolti meni be ta wafula wala ka process fango ndi man sakunda ma ko ro keno ka process ka ke fendoti wo molu bebe do ko la soto nola ibayila ko nin do ko siada mo la tundo nyin kandron wo fana be kole ko do tala la mol kande bar nafa be sin koto e atete nafa mo ko don ke nafa o men ke nafa la wo kana man to ko te fana ci ka kalete kan o ko la tele de
yeah
fonga ko roside
lawyer Martin comme niñ ko déggee Jawne di ko doon wax rek gis nañ tam ne amaana du ñaaka factory bi nekk Sanyang contribute na tam ci ñàkkum jën gi ci askan gi tey jii nii tey ji doomu réewi Gambia tey naka la war a mun a njëriñoo li nga xam ne mooy géej gi
I'm not solo trop. Let me also make many thanks. Mr. Jane, we've been following and keep up the good work. Definitely we appreciate how you people are very much concerned about your environment, and we are fully behind and we are in solidarity with you people. As I say, the government should at least listen to some of you people who are within that area, the community itself. We are very much concerned about these factories, these companies that are coming with the interests of, their own outside interests. The Gambian interests matter, and also the protection of that environment matter, because it's for the future. And people like you, your efforts has definitely been acknowledged, and you are trying to do your best. And then our responsibility as we all stand as elders within our community, but it's the government also who should complement. Because if you people, government was working hand in glove with some of you people, they will have known a lot of plights. Today, some of these things will not have happened. But ñëwaat si li nga doon laajte noonu laajte bu am solo. Parce que man ñii yëpp gis naa leen damay dem Sanyang time to time. Fofu comme liñ wax la coastline areas yi from Burfoot, Tanje, Sanyang, Katong dem ñun government tey Gambia tey suñu réew war nañoo protect foofu noonu lu am solo la ndax tey ñu ngi dundee lu mel ni jën not only jën sax waaye am na li bëri li nekk ci géej gi waaye not only yi faa jógee tamit waaye foog ñu try ñu aar foofu noonu pour xale yi ñëw ëllëg lii mooy yi nga xam ne ñun suñ concern la ndax suñ bàyyee companies yi ñëw di am seen own intérêt dafay gën a yaaxa Mendi dëkk bi Gambia dëkk bu ndaw la waaye foog ñun tam dëkk la boo xam ne ñun ñoo war a xool how do we naka lañ koy war a aaree pour ëllëg ñu njëriñu si waaye ci sa laajte tamit wax dëgg ne man li ma wax nguur dafa am responsabilité comme yow ni nga amee responsabilité kii am responsabilité Mr Jawna man itam ñii ñoom itam ñu ngi try seen utmost si Sanyang foofu noonu ndax ñoom itam ñu ngi in consult with who are the type of people government would listen to so that ñu change foofu noonu ni moo demee ndax ni moo demee foofu noonu Mr Mendy loolu correctul ma ne la lu mel ni Golden Lead not only that Chinese ak yeneen yi fa compagnie yi fa nekk noonu la ñun de we are xenophobic bugguñ ñëw invest waaye soo ko ñëwee pour njëriñi réew mi njëriñi askan bi dafa war a am in solo trop so ñun dañ wax ne government mu bàyyi xelam government mu seetaan mbir mi especially li ñu wax fii affaire yi youth si ndax youth si tey suñ demee ba nga xam ne amuñ lu ñu war a am dëgga lu leen tooñ rek kaay dinañ jóg.
Yeah, okay, then we have a caller on the line. We can try to pick that caller. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Salam, how are you doing?
Alhamdulillah.
I want to be a conversation. Mohammed Jagan from Tanzania. I think the root cause of the report goes back to the government.
Yes.
The government has a role to play, and they should be the ones to be blamed.
Okay.
Because this problem has been taken for a long time now. Like we forgot the journalist say.
Okay.
It's like being so yesterday's incident was the climax of all things, but there has been a problem lesson. And those people trying to put blame on the locals of Sanyang. This is what happens when you put your citizens for the world. It's not like we just make it one day and try to take the law into our own hands. But when you lose hope in your own authorities, what must you have? Incidents of this have been reported to the police before. I can remember I and some of my colleagues at the starting of this thing, almost 2 or 3 years ago, we were looking at the police station about it. Just because the energy system had to make a call that we trespass in their area, which was all lies.
Okay, thank you very much, that caller. We appreciate your contribution. And as we had him saying, the government have to come up with reasonable contracts or agreement with companies with regards to the way they exploit our natural resources, like the one in Sanyang. This question would go to Mr. Mamadou Semega Jane, if you're still on the line, as we can see. What do you think now should be the way forward, or the government of the Gambia, the step it should take to finally address this problem in Combo South generally, or in the Gambia, because we are talking about Combo South today?
Well, I think Berending and Gunjur issue was mentioned earlier. I think one of the first things that government has to do is try to regularize the land issues. But every single one of these fish meal plants has to be shut down. It is not something that we can manipulate in any way. That
Sorry, do you mean that it should be shut down permanently or temporarily?
Permanently.
Permanently.
Permanently, because the fish stocks, for every ton of fish meal that they make, they use 5 tons of fish.
Okay.
And basically, if you are there when they're loading containers and you see 20, 30, 40 containers being loaded, that's a 40-foot container would be about 30 tons. So you're looking at 150 tons of fish to make that one container of fish meal. What are the people going to eat? These things are, you've got right now, the Chinese are growing pigs up to 1,000 kilos. The Gambians cannot eat pig. If they that the one source of protein that the people have got to use, okay, let it be sustainable. But right now, You've got these trawlers, and whenever the fish are coming in, and they've got yaboy, or they've got bonga, you'll be surprised at the amounts of fish that these boats are coming in. And therefore, I have a feeling that what is happening is that once they go offshore, they are being loaded up by these trawlers that you see at Denton Bridge and the others that are lying offshore. Because I have boats that go 30, 40 miles offshore. And the number of times I'm out there and we see trawlers turning and heading out to sea, or sometimes you'll actually see them dump their nets. It does tell you that we've got a major issue where by the time we start having our own boats to be doing the patrolling and so on, the Europeans, the Chinese, the Russians, the Koreans, everybody else is going to get reasonably wealthy. The Gambians are going to be left virtually at starvation levels because there's not going to be the fish. But those people that are now having to cope with the smells in their houses, you've got, like for instance, somebody that was working at the Rainbow Beach Bar. He had an asthma problem. Whenever he came into work, he was very, very sick. All of a sudden, he died. You've got a young man with a young family that has now lost their sole breadwinner. And I'm certain this is happening in multiple places. And unless people are ready to really be seriously looking at the impact that these activities are going to be having, you will continue to have people thinking that they're not considered to be human enough to that their lives and their well-being is considered. Like I was saying before, they had this waste was taken and disposed of at Kotu Pond last year before. They only took 2 tanker loads there. And I think the place tanked out so much that the civil servants, the ministers and the judges and so on that live in that area decided they don't want the rubbish to be dumped there because they cannot cope with the smell.
Okay.
Now, you can imagine, they then tell the factory to stop, that they should bring it back to Sanyang. All well and good. They've said that they've done ponds that they can treat this waste, rubbish. They say that the water that is treated has to be put into the sea. Well, when we had the meeting with the NEA, the official that is supposed to, the specialist, said basically you're looking at 1.5 kilometers out to sea. When you look at these pipes that are coming from any of these factories, you're looking at approximately 50 meters, 100 meters into the sea. If it is the one in Sanyang, basically at low water mark, I can walk you all the way to the head of the pipe, and that's where they were dumping the water.
Okay,
so you then find sludge will come out onto the ocean. And
Mr. Jane, we have a caller on the line. Can we try to take that caller? Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Hello.
Yes, where are you calling from and your name, please?
Hello, Abanyadi.
Alhamdulillah, mbe ala tentuka. Ito di ma anu ibe kiliro la minto.
Ya, anto di mamu baba.
Okay.
Senegal.
Ibe kiliro la minto.
Ah?
Ibe kiliro la minto.
Makilo Senegal.
Okay, mbe la mo ekang.
Yeah.
Okay, we're sorry that we've lost that caller. Coming back to what Mr. Jane was just saying, Martin, what would be your take on that to permanently, as he said, shut down that Chinese mill factory?
Well, really, what he recommends sounds prudent, because really some of these factories is the way how they are operating. And the amount of pollution and the damage they are causing to that environment is concerning. And the lights of Mr. Jane, especially those communities, the people who live around, who are very concerned, really they would not see anything except for them to close it down. I mean, it would be a good recommendation for government to go back, review the situation. Some of these, as I say, these factories, the way they operate, they are not to the benefit of either the community, neither to the nation. So really, I mean, shut down somehow, if at least, because the damage, as I say, is not it's not a short-term damage. We are looking at a long-term damage. We are a developing country. Some of the technology that we have to make sure that our environments are protected, you know, the education that has to go, like we just mentioned earlier. I mean, a lot of things has to happen. The coastline needs to be protected. It's one of our natural resources in Gambia today. If you look at it, the fisheries alone, what we can gain, what government can gain out of that. We don't have oil, we don't have certain natural resources, but we are blessed with, you know, these fisheries issues. So really, the government, like I just said, the recommendation really is some of this, when you look at it, the damage they are causing, really, I think a permanent closure will help in this situation.
Jawne nga moyle itol fanang yemem fo ulo nyinti ko fis mil nyanta sorona but jani wo nga kola do soto julo kan. Allo, assalamu alaikum.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Badi be kliro la minto ani to dima.
Yeah, I'm saying mo kilo ng bitang.
Okay, mbe la moy kan.
Yeah, they will sort of contribute program also because definitely I'm going for that we are dividend down.
Okay, we have also lost that caller. Mr. Jaune, ite la miro be kela munti ninkumu nim factory o la cola. The caller is back on the line. Sorry, let's take him. Hello? Okay, Mr. Jaune.
Nte la miro to. Problemo membe laring molu kameli be Sanyang. Katon gunjura ni la koton to kombo south mumo be kan meni be o badala jenjeng wala problemo nyin ayem banko be man tora bar nyaawo nyande bawo ni nyo ko laata wolta man sota jakaba da men di sos ntol be batala janne di sede ko ndaja kan na balu be ko laala bara problemo di bumba sembo abelari teleka.
Okay, it all combo south
a sembo be lari teleka.
Okay,
shay ba problemo sembo be lari teleka. Ni tele ñu recommend ko ñanta soron na re man sa ñanta la moy la walal de kadun njikita la ko ni be company na la dulato e ñanta kala o molie a ñanta kala e jiri walati nafa bar ne molu bo kay nafa la banko fanan na nafa ma wara je akamunta company ti le wolle kanyeta ntolu fotale ko ñanta crosilal de oto ni o molu ko ñanta wutla ja ñanta bola jele de
fo imamira fanan ko ñanta agreement o ñing wala contrat ko ñin ne jube la ko kote ke comme ya fo ñame aka munta ko abuke nafa comme ya fo ñame
yalo o contrat ko fam ni Sanyang ko ñinin ka asikeno contrat fam e ma soto e bulola contrat men Gambia man sakunda ni Chinese oli ya sign wali si ñinin ka feren tire jang bari si Sanyang ko ñinin ka asike ma je ñala community involvement jeto Sanyang molu malo men sainta ito ba fala mune be review la je ko ite ba fala ay tadro natar ya community mol involved kabira be damu tala wato menna ko company be kelete na bara operation be kelete nin tenne jome be bola be tate ma fanga be kelete channel be kelete ne nyo membe fala tuma da ti ala be kelete ne isanje si la bag ni so no isi ila hard win no ida tarife je tumando kolea do be je bi wota tar la jeto bari bawo njiga tala be man tar keri itan dum be abete lela dulate ko e man la fala jeto ba be man tora kanne man sanyante la moy lalde
okay
ni wonta mune kanake akana kolea do le wulu sama ala man tankala
abarka bake ngata koteke aning Mamadou Semega Jane on the line from Sanyang. Mr. Jane, we also asking, as you rightly said, the factory should be permanently closed down. because of one, two, or three reasons. Oh, wouldn't it also be useful or important for the contract to be reviewed, or also to put in other mechanism in place where the people of Combo South would benefit from this agreement?
Well, if I look, for instance, at the contract, supposed contract with the factory for Combo South, it was negotiated by somebody called Sheriff, and who was the head of
I'm
the
sorry
BBC.
that we would stop you for a while. We have an international call on the line. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Hello?
Wow, Maladiga.
Hello?
Wow.
Hello, caller.
Pamane Maladiga legi.
Waaw ñu ngi laa dégg tam fooy ootee ak tur bi naka la?
Mane dama bëggoon a wax si mbiri Sanyang bi. Man Joe laa tudd. Maa ngi koolee Sweden.
Ok, ñu ngi lay déglu luy sa xalaat ci
Mane
programme
Mr. Jane lu mu wax dëgg la dañu war a tëj factory yi because ñu dëkk si dëkk bi sax mënuñoo afford pour jënd jën léegi. So man suma idea man du ma foog ne loolu.
ok thank you very much moom tam dégg nañ lu mu wax moom it mu ngi support pour ñu tëj factory boobu. Yes, Mr. Jane, we still with you from Sanyang.
Yeah, I was saying that the was supposed to be a MOU signed with the BBC of the village. Now, there's a chap that is called Sheriff. I will not mention his surname. But what happened was that as head of the BBC, he was supposed to be looking after the interests of the village and the community. But then prior to contract being finished, he ended up working for the factory. And whenever there's people making complaints and so on, he will then gather a number of people to try and put a counterpoint. And it's usually the same number of people or the same, actually foreigners that were gathered there. Luckily, he managed to escape yesterday because I believe that a large number of people went to his place and they were blaming him personally for some of the hardship that they were going through. I think it is incumbent on the authorities to ensure that not to take retribution against those that went on strike or that demonstrated, because some of it, yes, was unruly. I did visit the police station, as Mr. Martin will attest, we've actually met there before. And I have tried my best to try and help them to upgrade certain things. And we will be doing a collection for trying to help the factory. But I think most important of all the collections that we will be looking at doing is for the widow and the children of the man that unfortunately lost his life. But I think one of the things that government really does need to start doing is that as much as you're the expert, when people have a grievance, to actually sit down and listen to them properly. Not to talk to them like the Minister of Fisheries and some of the hogwash that he comes up with about how the tuna fish industry should be handed to the Europeans at such a low price that one does wonder where one's loyalties lie as far as that is concerned. We've had a meeting with him about the fish meal factories, the same output, because really we went away from there feeling really that his mind was already made up, no matter whether or not you brought him a whole lot of dead bodies and said this is because of the factory. He was going to say that they continue. And that's when people start to think that there is something untoward. As to the reasoning why they will not listen to any other discussion apart from just doing what the factory wants. So I think really it is high time that the government and people in the departments do start taking notice. When there's complaints, they take notice of it. When they do notice that the stink was so bad that they couldn't dispose of it at Cote Ponds, I think that was a good sign that they should have just said, look, this is not something that we will have in our backyard. So how in God's name they expect people to live with it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? That is inhuman, to put it in the lightest form. But I think really it is one of those things that they will need to have to address and address properly. Otherwise, I can see difficulties coming. It is one of those things that we do take our time, effort, and so on to try and help. And 99% of it is not really that we are looking at making anything out of this thing. It's not that I cannot just jump on a plane and leave, and when the smell gets bad and come back, which I do. Rather unfortunate state of affairs. But after I left Gambia in 1970, the Gambian government has been asking for Gambians to come back and help develop our place. But a lot of the time, really, we are in a situation where we just don't answer, why am I killing myself doing this? Why don't I just pack up and go somewhere else? Why don't I just pack up and go and invest somewhere else? You buy your property and then all of a sudden you're told, well, it's in the TDA, we're going to take it away from you. But when you were buying your property, the same government officials were the ones that signed the documentation. So what do they want people to do? And that's when people will lose confidence in things that are happening. When you build your house, they come back and say, well, the TDS moved, which is now the proposal that the GTB is talking about, that every time that the sea takes over the beach, they now move their land further inland. So if you bought your house, let's say 30 years ago, and now the sea has taken away 200 meters, they've moved the coastline 200 meters. Who ever heard of that type of legal nonsense?
Thank you very much, Momodu Semega Jane. We would get back to you in a moment from now, but Famara, ngaje akachanyim be tata nata meal factory bari nyin ko manda meal factory da manto katu ko lo me alonko ay hadama niole kasarata ko nyin kono fana andum funding kel melbe jema fawno nyin ku sifal be tankan wala nyame wolong nyaaditi
ha yalong abe nyame man sakunda nyanta katala bake to engage the young people.
Like how?
Man sakunda. Anyanta katala bake anim funding ko kaja. Kela problemo long. Kela problemo long. Anin ka fero landi wo problemo be solve la nyaadi. Kami fe ngado ko manifo. Man sakunda nyanta wata that channel of communication. Ayele anim funding ko tema ka funding ko la problemo long. Karne problemo ni long, tumando asike solution landi nole pour que problemo ni address nyame. Bara fana be kuma yala bake ngamen fo man sakunda ke la moy molla
okay
ni mol je complain mo be bon complain just because ima la fi government la wala be tilbe political party dole to no mol kono society ko dole be complain la genuine complaint si ka wala ke
yen so demanding kola do soto julo kan allo assalamu alaikum Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, alaikum salam. This is Javan on the line again from Sanyang.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. The authorities, they have arrested one of our boys here yesterday. He spent the night at the Busby police station, as we are made to understand.
Okay.
And today too, he's spending the night there. We just want to put a message across to the authorities. They have to release that boy, or we are going back to the street again. Because if they want to arrest, let them arrest the entire village, the youth. We are all in this.
Okay.
Not single person, not each and every youth in Sanyang is part of this. If they have to arrest, let them arrest all the youth and take all of us to mile too. But not a single out an individual and arrest the person. Let them arrest all of us, or let them release the boss.
Okay. Thank you very much. We've had you, Jane, yow moyle ko funding ke do bije mem muta je andu itol sa omni mem wolong ya bula wala ya sate be muta nyim fanang muku dol ti mayalong ko awuluta nyin kacha nyin konol.
Yo yalong polisol ning kuo keta ni sobitala ko ite lolu la tamo kuo konole as an accused person. Isi muta nole, but make sure that luai mem for 72 hours akana tambi wala. Luai wala for that 72 hours akana tambi wala. Yo saim fo atar di sate bele ma beta bang mo o man seni yambulu. Maybe in si lawyer San Martin Bula atasi je nyambasi.
Lawyer Martin liñ doon wax rek mooy comme protest moo amoon na ndaw yi génna am na kiñ jàppa comme niñ ko déggee nii depuis démba mu ngi ci loxol police yi ba léegi bàyyuñ ko te loolu lu mun a jur ëllëg ak si biir ci mbir coow li
waaw am na solo trop suy amee na dégg la police yi dañooy daw di seet waaye li ñu waxoon mooy waxtaana askan bi boor boobu noonu ndax ñoom ñoo am seen mbébét ñoom ñoo am seen concern ba yi ñëw dégg la nag liñ gis comme li ma wax la rek lu doy waar la amin xëy na ñi jógoon taalaat and so on li tax police yi teg ko loxo nag xamuñ waaye nag ñoom itam nañ déglu nit ñi parce que yii daf dee xew ndax ñoom itam yaa ngi dégg ñu ne nañ leen ko bàyyi wala ñu bàyyi ñi dem jàppa ñëpp yooyu noonu du loo xam ne dafay dimbale waaw léegi luñ mun a def mooy comme li ñu wax la rek soo amee koo xam ne foog nga ne am na lum def put ko under bail in this kind of circumstances understand nga ne ko mu ngi nii ëllëg nga ñëw wax ñu nii si suñ gëstu su ko defee mu mun ñoo dimbale ñun police yi su dee loo xam ne la nag jar na pour ñu teg ko si ndoddaam mu dem koot ñoom ñu seet ndax loolu jar na ko but again come back to it li ñu wax la mooy lii ñu ne li yëngu li ko yëngala ko ëpp doole the root causes of all this but again li ñu waxoon fii waxaat ko mooy ne the damage the more cost to the community foofu noonu the coastline communities suñ Gambia are mostly affected so ñun what are we doing to protect them comme li ñu wax la government ndax mu ngi engage ak nit ñi pour sort out this problem.
ok ñu jël beneen koola ci line bi allo koola.
hello.
yeah.
na ngeen def.
ñu ngi sant yàlla ku baax fooy wootee nii ak tur wi.
maa ngi oote.
waaw.
maa ngi jëkkën tur what leena ma daaw daal. hello.
waaw ñu ngi lay dégg.
things like this happen in the authorities ñu ngi noppi te nekku di dégg nothing maa ngi doon think and GRTM is not showing what is happening right now. I don't understand, man. What's happening? Certain things like this are happening. So they make a conclusion. When you look, come using the nahar. Understand? Authorities your candles. Plus, I don't care this cause. You can explain to me, I'm not in boy with arrest. They don't arrest, let them arrest the whole use of the book. The long one bigger. You know, which is even a thought. Or not here for 70 hours, look at that. So authorities get to see the government. You expect me not to continue, Right now, we are experiencing a lot of things in the government.
ok ñu jaajëfal la lu bare bari sant la lu bare it ci sa contribution mbokk yi ñu fàttali leen ne yéen a ngi seetaan Eye Africa TV tey ñuy waxtaanee li di xew-xew bi amoon naka noonu démb foofu ca Sanyang ci Kombo South jamono bi nga xam ne ndaw askan googu ñàkk ñoo mer vipp génn di wane seeni mer gannaaw ba kenn ci seen naataango moom la ab samba boy wala ab sàcc daal di faat foofu ci biir Sanyang mu doon mbir mi nga xam ne askan gi méttit lu nañ ko bu baax waaye comme niñ koy waxee rek ci biir studio bi tey fii ñu ngi ànd ak ñi nga xam ne ñoom itam ñi dee xeex ak yelleefu doomu aadama lañ tey dee bëgg ñu sàmm ak yelleefu doomu aadama Lawyer Martins mu ngi fii ak kii di Famara Jawne ci téléphone line bi tam ñu ngi ci am Mamadou Semega Diané moom mu ngi foofu ci Sanyang ñu ngi ko engage ci li nga xam ne moom mooy li nekk di xew wala ci jamono ji la xewoon foofu ci biir Sanyang dinañ dellu si waat ak Jawne although situation o be nyamen Sanyang akamunta ko abe kam kolto andum fanang jikital ko Cairo be tenkum Cairo be kelaji andum nyomoyo be kela alfal ning mansakunda tema bari kacha menyanta kela na be kela mansakunda ning Sanyang alfal tema mune nyanta kela kacha nyin na tunkunti o requestol o kuol melialon ko Sanyang kol nyanta wole landila mansakunda nyatili onyina
yala benyamin akamunta ni Sanyang ko do fora diamo la sainte ngani Sanyang ko jamalu ni lamay online kibarol to ila fita men na yo fola faka pare imeta fola la manke biti iko folo factory men biji tunu malla fi walla kati mena fa iko ye toro men soto je wala warta yala ye wala fo yontente ya mar la fenna ko de iko ye man la fala je woto man sa akata ya bondi ye je ntinga mer wala kana kumma yata bar in the meantime janni man saba bondi le jetu ngamen fo mimur la wala kande man sa nyanta ke engage fisheries department all the stakeholders yetaje ini sate mole si ini si ni e kacha yala dibo nin ko membe dibo kono aka ku jamaala wulude barnabe lankene moto say be ngajele ko tonya mantoro men ka soto je nyo men ka fa bañin kono sisiyo men ka finta ka mol mantora menna mbe nga wo jele bar say gambia ka jolle soto mbe ngolonde nin do yalon do malo sanya nyanta jolle soto la social corporate responsibility mo fonte dol mo fanal long woto say foy sa jube molu nyanta mune soto banko be men soto ka nyin koto fatara jartale banga nyin company sifa bula na banko kan faman jarala kadu ninga men fombe sele na kuma falo kan ninga ya tare moliye man toro men soto wala warta na fadi waye mbe so mbe bula laje bar nadar na fara warta ndunga lon ko nyina fa wara nadar na fa warta molta falo ko ay wasata wonyinto
okay nga kola do soto julo kan allo assalamu alaikum assalamu alaikum
Hello?
I'm
calling from Bukama. I just want to contribute on part of the program.
Yes, where are you calling from and your name?
My name is Amadou Diallo. I'm calling from Bukama.
Okay, Amadou Diallo, we're listening to you.
It's just looking at what is happening in Sanyang. And in reality, sometimes we did understand the frustration of the youth and what is going in the country is too hard currently. But it's very, very important that we don't take the law in our own hands. Whatever we are vandalizing right now, we are trying to get back our own living. And it's very, very important that rule and law is put in place.
Okay.
The security are there serving us and they are there representing us. So whatever we do, we must rally behind them.
Okay.
So frustrations are in and people are seated down without no activity, are not engaged. So it's very, very important whatever we do, we look for the future, we look for what is best for the future.
Okay, thank you very much. You can still join on the program by calling the number you've seen on your screens and give us your contribution or your suggestion with regards to today's topic. You're reminded that you're watching iAfrica TV, and tonight we are discussing about the issues surrounding the protests that took place yesterday in Sanyang, and we are having a guest on the line from Sanyang, who is Mamadou Semega Jane. Yes, Modu, time is not on our side, and we had been keeping you on the line for so long. I think finally, what would be your final recommendations to the general public with regards to what happened yesterday in Sanyang to prevent such a kind of thing happening in other places in the country too? But sorry, before coming in, we have a caller on the line. Hello? Okay, we have lost that caller. Sorry, you can come on board.
I think the important part is that to try and consult with the people in all of the villages and make sure that whenever things are being done, the proper environmental impact assessment is done, and it is published so that everyone in the village or town that these things are being done in are aware of what is happening. If somebody is not going by the assessments that have been that they were told to work by, for instance, what is happening now with the sand mining, we've got to be ready for massive malaria outbreaks pretty soon, because you've got 2-3 kilometers of land that has been now dug up, and it's full of fresh water. So basically it's breeding ground for mosquitoes and other pathogens. So we're on a downward spiral as far as life and enjoyment in the area is concerned. And the other thing that government has to bear in mind is that, for instance, tourism, I believe, brings in somewhere around about 27% of the GDP of the country. We have got these factories at 3 of the most important beaches on the Gambia, and they are polluted to the point where in Sanyang we've got restaurants where people will be sitting down eating. The factory smell gets there, and they will get up and leave. Other times they've all, the food comes, they've gotten up and leave. So we've got to decide whether we want to throw away 27% of the GDP of the Gambia, or what, $1 million is? Otherwise, people are going to start saying, is somebody being bought? Is somebody making something personally out of this? Because what the government is making from this is far less, the billions making from tourism. Why risk that tourism earnings for something that really is necessary? After this, I can send you links from groups of people that have been coming to the Gambia on a regular basis, that have been coming to Sanyang on a regular basis. And so many of them are saying that they're not going to come because of the fact that things are being done, which it's rather short-termism, where it looks really like somebody's trying to grab as much money as they can to run. Because that is the only logic, is allowing certain things to happen, because it's totally illogical to allow this nature to be ruining a tourism industry of this magnitude. I think if we lose 27, well, I think we're all in the situation with the central bank and so on. The budget that we used to make from the tourism industry is not existent because of COVID. And it should taught us a lesson that we should not be playing around with our environment, because it will turn and bite us at the rear end.
Okay, I'm afraid, Mr. Jane, you have to hold on. We take our caller on the line. Hello?
Yes, hello?
Yes, good evening.
Okay, salam alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Walaikum salam. Ku baax fooy wootee ak tur bi naka la?
Ok, man maa ngi tudd Babou Signane di Collège Serekunda.
Ok.
Di rafetlu bu baax seen programme bi.
Jërëjëf.
comme su doon mën a nekk bu baax a baax ngeen traduire ko ci langue yu bëri ci làkk yu bëri.
waaw ci làkk yu bari
ci anglais ci wolof ci pël ci jola because of Gambia dafa am different nation astafurlah different tribe
dëgg la
so te lii problème Gambia lii du problème Nigeria du problème Bissau lii problème Gambia la so da ngeen am pour traduire ko ci yeneen language yu bëri
incha allah
so ma bëgg a wax tuuti rek ci problème Sanyang bi
ok
mburo lii balaa Sanyang tànje la njëkkee tànje more than 3 people wala 4 people yëpp suma kanam la because man tànje laa am business benn xale bu jigéen lañ fa réeb ñu ray ko sànni ko ci teen amul benn effort boo xamante ni government bi def na ko pour dimbale waa Tànji wala waa Tujereng wala waa Batakungu foofu bëri na ay bandi bëri na ay criminel te ñëpp ñu nekk foofu noonu ay foreigner lañ du ay Gambien bala ngaa dugga Tànji ci bridge bi am na benn mbaar bu nekk foofu ay criminel ñoo fa nekk ay sàccakat call naa anti crime so many times pour wax leen ko gars yi amul benn effort boo xamante def nañ ko so ban njëriñ la Gambia police bi am ban njëriñ la Gambia am poste am ban njëriñ la ECOWAS am ci biir Gambia every day suñ nit ñaa ngi dee par benn Serekunda Bakaw Brikama Bantang Ñamina foo dem Gambia fu mu nekk ni kenn ñi mu génn léegi xanaa Gambia amul government xanaa ñun amuñ police
ok
Tànje police station amul moto gars yi sometimes crime daf day am duñ mun a génn dem pétrole because amuñ moto te Adam Barrow mu ngi jël ay pick-up di ko jox ay yaay commune ay chairman lan moto di ko jox police yi because dëkk bu am jàmm ci àdduna seen police yi ñooy liggéey dëkk bu amul jàmm seen police yi duñ liggéey na government bi gestu police yi mu dimbale leen mu jox leen ay moto mu jox leen ay bagages yu mën a pétrole xam nañ bandi yi fuñ nekk ñu jël bandi yi dem yóbbu leen ci kaso bi su fekkee mayel su dafa fees nañ tabax beneen kaso
jërëjëf waxtu mayuñu ko buñ sañoon dinañ continuer ak yow ndax yow tam yaa ngi wax lu am solo ci lii di programme bi waaye pour ñu dellu si waat ci suñ biir studio bi tey waaw waxtu mayatuñu ko comme ni nga koy waxee rek Lawyer Martin tey démocratie Gambia jamono ji naka lañ ko mun a réetee ak lan nga foog ne xëj na manqué na ci wala war nañ ko cee yokk pour démocratie bi gën a sax ci biir réew mi fii
lu am solo la soo xoolee suñ démocratie fi mu toll ak fiñ jógee am nga man always dañuy wax ne fii lañ jógee ak fuñ toll yaakaar amoon na ndax ba ñoo ñëw dañ ne nañ leen changé ñu delluwaat loolu soo changé da ngay war a dem kanam suñ démocratie li mu laajte mooy institutions yi ñu baaxal ko moreover tamit mooy society bi mooy community bi mooy place yi nga xam ne for instance tey ñu ngi am seen bébét yi nga xam ne moo leen a affect soo suñ démocratie ba léegi mu ngi struggle ndax li ma wax mooy yii defoon na loo xam ne nguur gu xarañ nguur gu xam li moo def da ngay génn nga waxtaan askan bi yii yëpp duñ war a seet la wax na ko fii foog yenn isin yii nii yi nga xam ne seen njëriñ baaxut wala ñu ngi yaxa isin yooyu dañ leen war a tëj ndax li nga xam ne
waa ñu jël ku final caller bi ci line bi allo salaamaaleykum
salaamaaleykum
allo asalaamaaleykum
maaleykum salaam
yaa ñu ngi laa déggam be mooy kan
limbara mbal konton na baatu
ok ñu jàppane ñàkk nañ koola boobu
waaw ci gàttal parce que waxtu xëy na xoj nañu waaye comme li ñu doon wax la suñ démocratie lu ñu war a xoolaat la nguur lañ doon sas pour mu ñëw defar ñun xooluñ ci kenn defaral pour Gambia defar tamit pour future bi ndax ñun li ñuy xool mooy yi nga xam ne façon yi yàqa yi nga xam ne mu ngi am li ñuy wax ci environnement bi lii warut a nekk loo xam ne ëllëg xale yi ñëw ñu fekk fi loo xam ne suuf bi tiba nañ ko yàqa bi géej gi am na jën yi nga xam ne ñun moom lañ waroon a lu ñu ooyee tubaab di wax réserve loo xam ne dañ ko war a denca pour ëllëg askan bi ñëw ñu dunda si suñ jëlee jën yooyu tey di ko jox yeneen réew ñun duñ ci gis suñ boppa ci gàttal dëgga suñ démocratie luñ war a xoolaat la comme li ñu wax la neexut a wax ñun luñ bëgg a mooy nguur buy yóbbu di njëriñ ñëpp waaw nekkul nguur woo xam ne nag dëgga façon yi moom bari na ñeneen ñi community yi nekk boor yooyu yëpp ñu ngi complain seen lii seen la factory yi tamit ak license yi ñoo joxe nekkul ne sa réew da ngay jël sa natural resources rek du xeer du suuf du géej gi ngay joxe rek compagnie bu ñëw nga joxe foog ñu reserve bu gën a am solo mooy lands reserve lands fi mu nekk nii dëgga dinañ toog yi ba nga xam ne dañ fee nekk ay charte lañ de du li gars yi di wax pàkka yi duñ bareeti xanaa jaw ne
yes Mr. Jawne finally bi funding kel la ñantol momenti man sakunda ñanta o buña la ñaadi
ya lon funding kel fana mu hadama dinguleti woto hadama ya ñanto nimba falambe wala fala hadama dingun yala ñanto buña kala ñanto ngurundi mala do aka siyo diale woto man sakunda ñanta men kelam be sayla ka wala mu ñanti ko funding kelo ne gabbe population o be kafu ñoma kiskisroli yayi tandi ko ni silla kem mu taworo nim fembe mu funding kelati yalla wol siatal de wol be fanna men ni wala ko lam futa ma sibo la muti man sakunda ñanta sila anim funding kelo ka funding kelo la ko ka jube ila ñantolu be wol fasala ñaadi pour ila ñaato ta sono ya ñamen bari jabirin ko la lafita men fanam folo muñti ko man sakunda ñanta kat la bake tanko bunda birin koyna fo katom ye sembentu ya bake ye motol dila tara fata aynu membe kala sayin ti ñanta wala kala ye motol dila nga kala buta moto kutoli be na kay be di kan la ko ye motol di polisol la kanto bunda joramal dila mem ñanta banko tankala ye mako e fuelo la nim fembe memba sonen lebulu jam ko man to jam fo kudan nem male ma mo faje o kibar sifalin ka wala je say aka munta mulbe silala pour que ila banko fon ko be silala
abarka bake comme nga fonu nyame nga te fere ke pour ka na la scola soto nin julobe soni aring allo allo okay fota wokola la finally Mr. Jane
hello
what would be your final message to the general public?
Hello, Maladegas.
Okay, sorry Mr. Jane, we have that lady on the line. Allo, foy kole soxna si ak tur bi naka la?
Hello.
Waa ñu ngi lay dégga foy kole ak tur bi naka la?
Maa ngi kole Sanyang. Man la Aji Diop.
Waaw.
Sanyang la dëkka.
Waaw.
Waaye dama fi am business summit. Waaye comme like fish meal factory bi. Amul ñun business owners lu ñu disturbut ñun ñu ngi just start last year. Waaye da nga gis ne comme like léegi suñ customers yi dañoo am pour dem because of head bi te man nekkuma sax si kanam géej bi. Because Mamadou Sénégal ñaane lu ma wax loolu ñun suñ boppa ñun xam neen ci dara because ñun ñu ngi koo dunda. Hello.
yaa ñu ngi laa dégga.
waaw ba pare jógee si loolu tamit li waral lii yëpp affaire yi Jibril Cissé bi ñu rey ñun waa Sanyang security soxla neen ko digga manqué neen ko because da ngaa gis ne fish meal factory security buñ am ñun ñeen ñi nga xam ne Gambian citizens la ñu ngi roon suñ business si sax jigi ñu am dat quota te ñun ñu ngi employé Gambian citizens yi waaye da ngaa gis ne fish meal company bii nii even Gambian si faa liggéey nga koo compté am naa aidé ak ñoom because dem naa romba foofu noonu dañ ma stop ne ma fii kenn du fi jël nataal bi ci man dama doon romba rek pour xool boobu gaa ngi just ibi noonu soo xam nga yooyu noonu yëpp dafa métti si xool nga dikka am lu fa am gisuloo si sa boppa ba pare mini dañ la desal gannaaw so dañ ko war a xoolaat bu baax factory bi amalu ñu njëriñ si boor ba pare damage bi bari na.
jërëjëf soxna si ñu jaajëfal la lu bari ci duga bi nga duga mooy suñ final caller comme liñ doon wax ak Mr. Jani rek Mr. Jani, what would be your advice or your last word with regards to this issue?
I would say to give the government the benefit of the doubt. They see yet again what can happen if people are ignored. And we are on the precipice of major disaster that will last for years and years. If the fish stocks are destroyed, then for generations to come, people's names are going to be held as dirty as mud, because every single this person is this. I think you don't want your grandchildren to be cursing your name every time they hear it. You want to pray for you to be and to be the rest in perfect peace. If they're in hardship and they know that that hardship was brought about by your actions, I really don't think that's something that we want to leave for the next generation. It is happening. Let's give the government a chance. But the government also has to realize that they have to de-escalate the cities on the ground and to make sure that the factories are told to behave themselves, the two existing ones in Gunjur and Katong. And to one other place that I don't know, I'm planning a little, the same company that was Nasim is the ones that are now damaging the waterways in Tandy. And they're the ones that have the ships over at Denton Beach, which have been really destroying the mangroves. And it's just a matter of time before one of those actually runs over these women that are out there looking for oysters and you have the flowers. I think that we really does have to look at some of these investors, whether or not they should be given the free hand that they have been given. And I think we give them a chance and let them prove that they're listening. If they're not, then I really cannot work out what to advise the people to do, because I've done everything that I can think of, and I will keep on trying. But I think it's one of those things that if you're not being listened to, it gets to a point when you just say it's no point in bashing your head against a brick wall.
Thank you very much, well, viewers. This is the end of this program. We would draw the curtain here till we come your way next time. Mbokk yi comme ñu jaajëfal leen lu bare bari ci ànd gu rafet gi ngeen àndoon ak ñun ci Eye Africa TV lii lañ leen amaloon tey ci waxtaan. Ñu jaajëfal suñu gan yi nga xam ne ñoom lañ dalal ci studio bi ak kii di Mamadou Semega Diané mi nekkoon ci téléphone bi ca Sanyang. Jaajëfal ko it baax na muy Famara Jawne di moom it nekk fii ak ñun ci biir studio bi Lawyer Martin tam ñu jaajëfal ko lu bare bari jox leen dig daje inshallah ci beneen jamono ci beneen programme badiwul ñi nekketanum bi programme o te nga men surtout ka natale Eye Africa TV ngan luntawol tentu bake même Famara Jawne ti anim fanang Lawyer Hassan Martin kata fanang na luntaw nga men soto téléphone juloto memo Mamadou Semega Diané membe nung Sanyang badi on la ana badi malon nung Abdoulaye Mendy mbe sarodi la jam fotumando bato sila dola nsimru nang koteke anim programme dola ala barka bake.
They say we slept in one world and woke up in another. This global tragedy got humans together despite our social distancing. Our nature is taking a break. And giving us a wake-up call on what and who truly matters. Look around you. Hold on. Breathe. Count your blessings. Take time for self-renewal